Hey students, this is lesson 3.1. We're going to learn how to work with inequalities in their graphs. We're going to learn how to graph, how to write, and how to understand inequalities here. Go ahead and do the review. I'll check back with you. One thing about inequalities, they can be written two different ways. So if I say z is less than 4, I can also say 4 is greater than z. If g is less than or equal to -2, so -2 is less than or equal to g. If m is less than 7, 7 is greater than m. All right, I want to do just a quick review on absolute value. Absolute value, remember, means, so these symbols, and you would just say that by saying the absolute value of x and that means the distance from x to 0 on a number line. And the distances are always positive values, or at a minimum they're 0. So to do this, we're going to simplify the 4 minus 6, and that's -2 inside the absolute value symbols. And we're going to think, well, how far is -2 from 0? And it's 2 units from 0. And so then we can simplify that to 7. Go ahead and try the other two. All right, one inequality represents the verbal expression. So the inequalities tell you whether the numbers are larger than or smaller than a given value. So the first one says all real numbers x that are less than or equal to 5. So we're talking about numbers like 0, 1, 1.5, -8, pi, anything that's less than 5 or equal to 5. And the symbol for less than is an arrow that points to the left. And to make it equal, you just put a line underneath it. X means all numbers less than or equal to 5, like that. The second one says 4 less than a number y is greater than 10. So greater than, as this symbol points to the right. It can't be equal to 10, so I'm not going to put a line underneath it. So greater than 10 looks like that. And then I just need an expression for 4 less than y, and that looks like that. All right, you try. Okay, now the solution of inequality is any number that makes inequality true. So you can figure out if it's a solution by just figuring out whether or not it's true. So if we want to know if 4 is a solution, we're just going to substitute 4 for x, subtract 2, and then see if it's less than or equal to -1. That simplifies to 10 is less than -1, and that's false. So we're going to say, no, that's not a solution. Then let's try -3. Substitute -3. Subtract 2. See if that's less than -1. And that simplifies to -11. And -11 is less than -1. That's true. So that is a solution. All right, you try that. All right, so when you're making a graph, a closed dot on the graph means the number is part of the solution. An open dot means the number is not part of the solution. So if the endpoint is -3 right here, and it's an open dot, that means that -3 is not part of the solution because the circle is open. And on the second one, -3 is a closed circle, so -3 is part of the solution. And that's because the circle is closed. Okay, so the endpoint shown here is -5, and since it's a closed circle, -5 is a solution because it's a closed circle. the second one, the endpoint is 7, and 7 is not a solution. And that's because the circle is open. All right, let's do a problem with that. What is the graph of 4 is greater than or equal to b? So our endpoint is 4, so we want to find that. And since it says 4 is greater than or equal to b, that means we're including the number 4, so we're going to close that in. And then we're just going to shade in the line where all the numbers are, where 4 is greater than those numbers. So 4 is greater than like 3 and 2 and everything in between, all these numbers, including 4. And so we're just going to draw a line to represent all that. I'll do this one. So there's our solution, and they continue even to smaller numbers. We'll put an arrow there. All right, you try that. All right, so let's identify the inequality represented by the graph. So first of all, you want to find your endpoint, which is -2. Let's just write that down. Think about whether or not that endpoint is included. Since we have a solid dot, that means -2 is included. So that means it's either going to be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And since we're talking about values like -2.5, -3, -3.5, those values, those are all smaller than -2. So we're going to use less than or equal to. So all numbers less than or equal to -2. Then the second one, the dot is open. So that means it's either less than or greater than. Since the numbers in the solution are to the right of 1 or bigger than 1, we're going to use greater than. So all numbers greater than 1. Go ahead, you try that. Okay, sometimes we use inequalities to represent more easily real-life situations. Okay, the sign here, and you've seen these at amusement parks, you must be at least 4 feet tall to ride this roller coaster. So if you're 4 feet tall, 4'1", 4'2", 4 foot exactly, you should be able to ride this. So at least means greater than or equal to. So we're going to use h for the height of a person. And so we're going to say your height must be greater than or equal to 4 feet. Sorry about that. The second one, the speed limit here is 35 miles per hour. What that really means is you can go any speed you want. It just means that the maximum you can go is 35 miles per hour. So your speed has to be less than or equal to 35 miles per hour. So let's use R, and that means your rate of speed. And we're going to say R must be less than or equal to. You can be going exactly 35, but you can't go any more than that. And there's something else here. Think about the speeds people would actually be going. So if it's in maybe a slow speed area around the school or something, people may, sorry about that, people may slow down for pedestrians, things like that, so they may be going some slow speeds. And there may be a stop sign in there, or they may not stop for a pedestrian in a crosswalk, so 0 is a possibility here. But people wouldn't be going in reverse, or they wouldn't be going in negative speed. So all the rates are going to be greater than or equal to 0. So there's actually 2 parts to that, and that's called the compound inequality. All right, you try that. All right, that's it for this lesson. Go ahead and do the lesson check, and I'll see you next time in class.